the last time we spoke about Jesse Puljujarvi, it was a video where we talked about his quote. The quote that he mentioned when talking about returning to the Edmonton Oilers. That quote was "never say never." And it was kind of surprising for Oilers fans to take a look at it because Puljujarvi was the guy who ditched his team and was very adamant on not wanting to come back. Unlike Elias Anderson with the New York Rangers, whose situation was resolved by him saying no, straight up just no, he doesn't want to return. We have a different straight-up answer here, where Puljujarvi just says, you know what, you never say never. Well, we're making this video here today because we have ourselves another update on Jesse Puljujarvi where he doubles down on the never say never, and in fact, he pretty much just repeats the entire thing again. We had ourselves an article published on this website here, italeti.fi. I totally butchered that, I apologize. But additionally to that, some of the marketing for this article kinda does do ourselves some favors. Here's a tweet from Marie Lundberg, who tweets out the article's link, and she says this. Here it is from Puljujarvi himself. Kärpät, which is the team that he played for in Finland, is his top choice for next season. However, Jesse says that the Zoom call with Tippett and Ken Holland was good and constructive. He felt positive after the call, and once again said never say never. Furthermore, let's go to the Edmonton Oilers subreddit and check out the post of the actual article, because in the comments we have ourselves a user named GifGold who translated the relevant bits. So we'll take a look at his comment over here and read what he said, because this is pretty much just what is said in the article. The post reads this: it is a significant turn in Jesse Puljujarvi's situation. Hockey star is in talks with the Edmonton Oilers, and he curbs rumors. Puljujarvi's team for next season, it still has not been decided. Kärpät is currently my top choice for next season, but I don't have a contract with them yet. We'll see where the NHL situation goes, since the NHL has been my goal, Puljujarvi told the news outlet. But then we have some of the juicy parts. According to Sportsnet, Puljujarvi's agent Marcus Lato said that Puljujarvi will never play with the Oilers again. The two sides, the player and the team, seemed to have parted ways. The situation, however, isn't so black and white anymore. The player and his agent recently had a long call with the Oilers management. On the other end of the call were head coach Dave Tippett and the GM Ken Holland. This is what Puljujarvi says: it was a good and constructive conference call. I won't, however, go into specifics. The call left me with a positive overall picture, the World Junior Champion assures. Then, the big one. Are you ready to return to the Oilers? Never say never, he says. I have matured and I see things a bit differently. They have a new GM and a head coach now. They're building a winning team. It's possible that I'll play there again, Puljujarvi admits. Puljujarvi is a restricted free agent, the Oilers own his rights, and he currently isn't allowed to sign with another NHL team. The rest of the article was just him saying that he won't play in the KHL or the Swiss League, and he also said that he's going to make his decision in the coming days or weeks. So we'll see just within the next few weeks, I guess, whether or not Puljujarvi is going to actually return. He did say that he wants to go to Finland and he wants to stay with the Kärpät, but never say never, since the NHL was always his dream. But I like what he said here, where he talks about how he has matured and he sees things a little bit differently. A lot of people would be quick to point out when talking about the Puljujarvi situation just how somewhat entitled he seemed to be during that whole fallout when he left the team. He ditched the Bakersfield Condors and played the entire year in Finland. Obviously, we know he did pretty well. It's just noting how he left certainly wasn't all too great. So seeing the perspective change and seeing the actual alignment here where he says, you know, I see things differently. I've matured now. I can actually take a look at it and look at it rationally. I like it. Now, obviously, there's no confirmation on whether or not he's actually going to return, and also, just because he says he wants to come back in any form doesn't mean that he's going to be able to suit up for the Oilers against the Chicago Blackhawks. If he does decide to come back, I guess if they wanted to include him, he'll probably have to go through the whole quarantine session and 2 weeks, etc. Who knows, the Oilers may not even win, and they might get eliminated before that ends up finishing. So, I don't really think there's any possibility we see Puljujarvi come back to Edmonton in that play-in series, but for next season there certainly may be a little bit more hope. Especially now than there seemed to be beforehand. Like, seriously, saying that it's possible I'll play there, that's straight up as verbatim as it can get. And if the Edmonton Oilers actually end up signing Jesse Puljujarvi, it may indeed open him up to expansion draft eligibility. So the whole Seattle Kraken thing, maybe if there's a possibility that he goes forward and fulfills the eligibility requirements, we may see him actually need to be protected, which opens up an entirely new suggestion as to what the Oilers should, would, and could do. Because with the way things are right now, if Puljujarvi decides to hold out, he doesn't decide to sign, etc., then who knows, the Oilers may need to either trade him away, tender his rights, and get him away or something like that, or we may have some long RFA holdout. Sure, Puljujarvi's not the same caliber as Nylander, so I don't think he can pull that off with the same amount of negotiation power that William Nylander had when he held out, but of course, the possibility is there. It's just him saying that it's possible he plays again in Edmonton, to me is much more of a sign that says, he's probably going to come back sooner or later. It just appears to be a matter of time as to when. So honestly, my insecurities about Puljujarvi coming back have kind of faded away. I think this guy's probably going to play an NHL game, maybe a full NHL season soon. If not next season, it'll probably be the one after that. If he decides to go back to the Kärpät team, then okay. I honestly would probably only expect a 1-year contract, just because of the way he talked about the Oilers in this article. And I'm pretty sure everybody who read this probably thinks the same thing too, right? He straight up says, never say never, and it's possible he'll play back in Edmonton. So now it's just a matter of when. It really does appear that Ken Holland's game of waiting seems to have paid off, because we kind of knew that this was the pattern that they wanted to do, where they wouldn't give him the opportunity to come back, they wouldn't trade his rights just because he asked, they would hold out, because they're the team, they have the power, and they have the choice as to what happens with him. So if he doesn't want to come back, then okay, we'll just hold on to your rights for a few more years, and wait until you eventually succumb to what we want. So it seems like that Ken Holland plan really did come to work here, and if it's Holland and Tippett that are talking to Puljujarvi and things are looking to be positive in their communications, then, it honestly kind of looks like we have a positive relationship here. Obviously, you don't like to see this kind of thing happen where a player leaves, but we know just based off of other NHL teams that this whole process could be worse. Cough, cough, Leah Anderson. So, talk to me in the comments below what you think about Jesse Puljujarvi's eventual comeback. And I'm going to say it like that because I am just so confident now that it's eventually just a matter of time before he signs that contract and comes back to Edmonton. But I know some people are going to like it a lot less than I do, because there definitely are some Oilers fans that'll be a lot more hesitant to bring back a player like this, not just because of the fallout story of him leaving, but because of all the other stuff that we saw when he was here and when he actually played on the ice for Edmonton. Oh, the work ethic, the guy wasn't all that good, why would we want to bring him back? Well, sorry to burst your bubble here, but Jesse Puljujarvi is still in his early 20s. There still is an opportunity for this kind of guy to become good, and the fact is, he was already pretty good in Finland, so if you have somebody who's good, why not try out his goodness in the NHL and see if that translates? By no means, I don't think it's going to. I don't think he's going to be a point-per-game player in the NHL or anything like that, but again, you try and you see what works. And for those who are questioning the maturity, oh, well, this guy already bailed on us once, why should we trust him again? People can grow, man. People can actually develop and mature, which is what he literally says he did. So Talk to me in the comments below what you think about Jesse Puljujarvi coming back. Are you excited to see him come back eventually, whether it's in the next week or in the next year? Because I certainly am. Just him talking about how it's very possible that he does come back is enough of a sign for me to open up to the idea of him coming back successfully. So tell me what you think in the comments section below. Do you think there's even a need for this kind of guy? With the emergence of Kailer Yamamoto, does it give Jesse Puljujarvi the leeway to not be as good as people wanted him to be before? Or is this just more of a, okay, you're on a better team now. This team is more competitive than it was when you left. So now in order to actually make this team, you gotta be better, you gotta be working harder, and you gotta show us why you belong instead. So honestly, that competitive spirit gets me kind of hyped up because I want to see Puljujarvi do well. We all know how good he was back in 2015, 2016. So just how good he can be in the NHL is always going to be something that I'm interested in seeing the development towards. So talk to me in the comments below what you think about all that stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. So that's Tross 99. And bye.